And we are back to Fox 2 Detroit live at 3. So, in Michigan, when it comes to fishing, there's really no better way to do it than anywhere in the state or even around the Great Lakes. Here to help me learn a little bit more about the culture and everything around it is Mike McKinstry. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great today. It's a beautiful Michigan day.
Yeah, beautiful, I think, for maybe early February. But, of course, when it comes to fishing and really all things outside, you really can't complain a whole lot since this region's known for, I guess, sort of all kinds of weather. I got to start, though. Why don't you introduce yourself as far as what is the sort of stuff that you like to get into when it comes to fishing, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, my name is Mike McKinstry, and I'm the host of a fishing show on Discovery Channel called the Bassquatch Hunter Fish Out of Water. And we get to teach people how to fish and have a great time and share amazing stories. So it's a whole lot of fun.
And I got to say, your background is more than a little impressive with a whole lot of stories to tell. Can you tell me a little bit about where you're actually broadcasting from?
Yeah, so this is my office, but in the background, it's a little bit of everything. I collect things, so I collect old fishing reels. I have a camera collection, and of course, to my left over here, we have some of our amazing awards. We have an Emmy back here. Yeah, we have 5 Telly Awards. We have an Emmy Award back here. We've got the 40 under 40 for Oakland County. We got a bunch of really cool awards. Michigan Week Environmental Stewardship Award. So I love showing those off in the background because it's a foundation of what we built to where we are today.
So I got to ask, does it feel better to get an award for fishing itself or for creating I guess a TV production about fishing?
Honestly, creating the production, because fishing is awesome. I love fishing, and I think it's a great sport. It's a great competitive sport to be in, but being able to create something special and be able to create something that inspires other people to chase their dreams too, and share the stories of people who have chased their dreams, I think is the best, most rewarding thing I've been able to do with my career, and especially work with all the kids that I work with. I work with thousands of kids a year, teaching them how to fish and inspiring them to chase their dreams. So the awards and the accolades we've gotten from doing that work shows me I'm on the right path too, and hopefully it inspires everybody at home to chase their dreams too, because you never know what it can lead to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I have to imagine when it comes to trying to get kids interested in fishing, well, I don't know. I mean, tell me, is it an easy experience? Because from what I can tell, if I'm a little kid out there on the ice, for instance, it's freezing cold, or if I'm in a boat waiting for something to sort of catch on my line, it's a lot of sitting and waiting. But of course, there's a whole lot more to it. How do you get them interested?
So there's some key tips that I always teach about when you're teaching not just kids, but anyone how to fish. And one of the biggest things I remind people, it's called fishing, not catching, for a reason, because we spend a lot more time in the fishing part than we do in the catching part. So we have to make the fishing part fun and interesting. So I always teach worms and bobbers first. Even in my show with grown adults, I'll always start with worms and bobbers. And one of the main reasons is because the bobber gives you a good visual and something for the kids to look at. So I always make this joke when I do seminars about this topic. And I always say, if you tell a kid that you missed a bite, your bobber moved, you buy yourself like another 30 minutes of them really excited and staring at that bobber. So there's little tips and tricks to get them excited, but at the end of the day, it's about the journey and about the adventure. So if you just remind people that the fishing part is the adventure, the catching is just the reward, then I find that kids get a lot more enjoyment out of it. They start realizing the peace and the nature, and the anticipation is actually where the excitement really is.
Is there a best fish to get kids interested in catching? And then tell me, is there an age that kids usually kind of dip from being, I don't know, bored and then interested in nature, I suppose?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of patterns change over the years with this. Like a lot of younger kids are getting more into fishing than when I first started doing this about 10 or 11 years ago. And I think a lot of it is because of social media and YouTube, and the way of the internet has influenced a lot younger kids than before. Where when our generation, we were watching TV versus internet, so it wasn't as common to see fishing content. But I've seen kids as young as 5 years old, 6 years old, getting pardon my pun, but getting hooked on fishing.
Mm.
And I think a lot of it's because they can do it with their friends, they can do it with family. It's something you can do anywhere, especially in Michigan. We are blessed to have water everywhere. I mean, you can't go 5 minutes without throwing a rock into a pond or a lake or a river here in Michigan. So we have so much opportunity for it that I think exposing young kids to the adventure and the excitement of it is pretty easy at an early age. So it's a lot of fun. Um, Now, to your first question, I always start people on bluegill panfish, is what they're called. Like bluegill, sunfish, crappie, rock bass. Michigan has plenty of that, and you can't really go to a freshwater fishery in Michigan without finding panfish. They're everywhere. It's like the base of an ecosystem in a lake around here. So bluegill and panfish is the easiest thing to fish for. Most of us started out fishing with, hot dogs or corn or cheese or bread or anything, and that's what we catch as bluegill because they will literally eat anything. They're a very easy species to catch, and they're also a very good species to teach kids on how to handle because they have the same characteristics of a bass, as far as the same teeth structure with having like a Velcro teeth, no sharp teeth or anything can hurt you. They have the protective dorsal fins that stop them from being eaten by other animals. So teaching how to hold a bluegill is a little bit kind of like a starting point in how to handle other fish species and how to catch other fish species. And they're a very hardy fish, so they can survive out of the water longer than some other species. So it's a very good starter fish. I call it a gateway fish. If you get kids hooked on bluegill, then it's just a gateway to every other species from there.
And then I got to ask, is it a tasty fish to eat? Because I would imagine that's well, maybe not the biggest reward, but at least the kind of nice little finite conclusion to a successful fishing trip.
Yeah, and it's being in Michigan, where, like I said, we're blessed with so many freshwater species here. It is one of the most commonly eaten freshwater fish. It's a lot of work for a small fish, but you can catch, we can go out on the ice right now and catch 30 or 40 within a few hours. So it is a very easy fish to consume and eat that way. But like I said, in Michigan, I mean, we have walleye, we have salmon, we have perch, we have trout, we have all the tasty freshwater fish species right here in our backyard. So there's no shortage of edible fish. But if I'm doing a catch and keep, and it's not going to be salmon or a bigger species, bluegill is like the number one. They're a very easy one to cook, very tasty fish.
Mm. And then this one's always been very, very interesting to me, only because it seems like there's a whole culture built around it. Of course, that is most fishing in Michigan. But when it comes to fishing for sturgeon, I'm curious if you ever caught one yourself and if you've actually ever tried eating one before.
I have never eaten sturgeon. I've had caviar. I've never had sturgeon itself, though, and I've never caught one in Michigan. We did a sturgeon episode years ago in Idaho, and we caught about 7 or 8 sturgeon over 6 foot in our kayaks, and it was an incredible experience.
Oh my gosh.
And sturgeon is one of those species that I love talking about them too, because they're such a fascinating, they're called dinosaurs for a reason. They're such a fascinating species, and they're related to the shark, but minus the teeth. They don't have scales. They don't have bones. They're all cartilage. They don't have teeth. There's so many fascinating things about sturgeon themselves that I think if you don't want to fish for them, even if you're not even into fishing, look up information on sturgeon because it's such a fascinating species. And the fact that they haven't had to evolve, very similar to the shark, they haven't had to evolve or change their environments and, how many years, I don't know, I can't quote the number, but very long time. I think it's a very fascinating species to learn about.
Yeah, and for anybody whose news feeds don't scroll all the way down into northern Michigan, the Black Lake sturgeon fishing season just wrapped up this weekend. Mike, did you see how long it lasted?
I did not actually. I meant to follow that, and I've been working on another event recently, so I didn't.
Well, it's interesting. It took forever, and by that I mean it took 48 minutes.
Not one of the longer days.
Not the 17-minute sprint that we had last year. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty long. That's like I said, it's called fishing, not catching. So you spend a lot of time really working for those fish.
Yeah. So I want to jump into what you've sort of specialized in when it comes to. For anyone who actually wants to know this weekend, what is the best place to go fish? I know it might be a little bit of ice fishing, although with the weather, maybe melting a lot of that ice, but give us your forecast for this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's special about Michigan is we have a variation of water temps all year long. We get to experience hot water, cold water, and everything in between, sometimes in the same day or same week. Right now, actually, we were just talking about this with some of my fellow fishermen. This is one of the best ice fishing seasons we've had in years. And in most recent years, we haven't had ice reach this thickness. Right now, a local lake right by me in my neighborhood here has over 18 inches of ice in the main part of the lake, which is a lot for ice fishing. So it's pushing the fish down a lot deeper right now. So my best recommendation for ice fishing right now, at least, is going to be finding the deeper waters, the deeper pockets. The water is less affected the deeper it gets. So in 30 to 40 foot of water, the bottom part of the water column is least affected by the surface air temps. So when you get ice this thick right now, it pushes the fish down a lot deeper to where the temperature is more stable. So fish deep and fish slow. A lot of times people forget that fish, they're cold water species. So when they are cold-blooded species, sorry. So when it gets this cold out, they can't metabolize their food as quickly. So they're looking for a really slow, small, easy meal where they don't have to do a lot of work for. That's why in ice fishing, we use really small baits. We use things with scents like live bait that have a really natural scent to it. And we let it sit still for a long period of time. So when you're fishing these deeper waters, jig up and down, keep it in one spot, look for those panfish, those pike, those walleye, whatever your target species is, they will come up to your bait in the deeper waters, and just keep it moving slow because they're going to look for something easy to catch. Now, if you do find open water here, especially if it's in Michigan right now, first thing, congratulations. There's not a whole lot of it unless if it's not moving, there's not a whole lot of it. But if you find open water, it's the same idea. The deeper depths. If you're in a moving water in a river, look for those eddies, look for those deep pockets, look for those smaller holes where they will hold a little bit of warmer water, more consistent water temps that won't be affected by the daily air changes and the ice movement. And that's where you should be able to find some good fish right now.